Hello and welcome to Jewish World Weekly on I-24 News. I'm Emily Francis. Every week we focus on stories, issues, and personalities of Jewish interest, both here in Israel and throughout the diaspora, the global Jewish community. And we start, as always, with our top 5 items in the Jewish world, presented this week by our very own Alex Schloss. Hi, Alex.
Thanks, Emily. Here are the top 5 items in the Jewish world this week. As the world marked International Holocaust Memorial Day, BBC News came under fire for its coverage. News anchor Caroline Nichols said that commemorations were taking place across the UK for the, quote, 6 million people murdered by the Nazi regime, ignoring the fact that the number is specific to Jewish victims of the Holocaust. The broadcaster issued an apology, but according to many British Jews, the damage was already done. Hospital staff at Liverpool Hospital in Western Sydney reportedly altered Bondi Beach terror attack survivor Rosalia Schickberg's medical records to give her a less Jewish-sounding name. The hospital called her Karen Jones and omitted her religion, without her or her husband's consent. New South Wales Health Minister Ryan Park apologized, but maintained the change was not ill-intentioned and was meant to protect her amid heightened risks. Over the last year, major American Jewish organizations significantly upped their lobbying spending compared with previous years, amid shifting political priorities in Washington. AIPAC led the way, spending more than in 2024, while groups like J Street and the Republican Jewish Coalition also boosted their expenditures. Much of the intensified advocacy focused on issues tied to the war in Gaza and rising anti-Semitism. Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, took out a full page on Wall Street Journal and apologized for years of anti-Semitic remarks, and saying he lost touch with reality. He attributed his past behavior to an undiagnosed brain injury from a 2002 car accident and struggles with bipolar disorder. In the ad, he denied being a Nazi or an anti-Semite and expressed regret for the harm he caused. And finally, Marty Supreme. The film based on Jewish ping pong star Marty Reisman earned 9 nominations at the 2026 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Timothée Chalamet. Also up for the Oscars are Josh Safdie, the director of the film, and Safdie and writing partner Ronald Bronstein are up for Best Original Screenplay. Those are the top 5 items in the Jewish world this week. Back to you, Emily.
On January 27th, the world marked International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And for the second year in a row, world leaders were invited to Jerusalem to discuss methods of combating anti-Semitism. Here's more from I-24 News correspondent Joe Brown, who attended the gala last week and spoke to some of the leaders.
The International Conference on Combating Anti-Semitism, which was titled Generation Truth, took place in Jerusalem. World leaders and famous Jewish faces all coming together with one shared goal: to end the scourge of anti-Semitism. Set up by Diaspora Affairs Minister Amichai Shikli, a gala took place a day before International Holocaust Remembrance Day, featuring performances by Yuval Raphael and Idan Reichel, and a speech by Benjamin Netanyahu, who warned of shared enemies of Jews and the Western world.
Every country in Western Europe and in America, it's being invaded not by people of a different color, a different race, a different faith. That's not the point. It's people with a focused ideology, and the ideology is to destroy the West. And for this purpose, they've made common cause with the most ultra anti-Western progressives, and they have united. And they supposedly should disagree on everything, but they don't, because they want to destroy the West as we know it. And they agree on one thing. What is the thing that they agree on? World War Jew.
There were 2 recipients of awards for people who Israel deemed to have been strong in the fight against anti-Semitism. The first one went to the Department of Justice's Head of Council on Combating Anti-Semitism, Leo Terrell. And the second one was a posthumous award to Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA. His pastor, Rob McCoy, accepted the award on his behalf, carrying the flame for him. Both Kirk and Terrell are Christians, they're not Jewish. And I asked the Trump anti-Semitism czar why it's so important for the Jewish people to have such allies as them.
What the haters want, they want only this issue to be focused on Jewish Americans. And they do not want the Jewish Americans to have help from other groups and people. They don't want blacks and browns and Christians and Baptists and Catholics helping them. The Jewish Americans have always come to the defense of every other group in our country. I mentioned up there, it was Jewish Americans who went down the Mississippi in the 60s to fight with black people to get their civil rights. So there is a history.
Both Terrell and Kirk are synonymous with the American right wing, and that kind of seemed to be a bit of a theme of this event. A lot of the speakers, a lot of the invitees did come from the right wing political parties, and this has caused some controversy as there have been some members of parties with a history of anti-Semitism and neo-Nazism, such as the Polish party PIS. However, Amichai Shikli has said that it doesn't matter whether anti-Semitism is coming from the left wing or the right wing. It is important to stamp it all out.
Truly, the main threat for us here in Israel, for Jewish communities abroad, and for non-Jews is radical Islam. And we need to form this coalition to fight together the real threat that we are facing. Yes, there is a very tough history, but parties can change, parties can correct their way. People can change.
Now, one party with a history of neo-Nazism is the Swedish Democrat Party, the leader of which, Jimmy Åkesson, actually apologized to the Jewish community last year for the misgivings of its founders and early members. And he told me why it is so important to build bridges and to apologize for past mistakes, even if it wasn't from him.
Sweden Democrats is a Swedish nationalist conservative party. We have no reason to not support Israel and Israelis and support the Jewish population all over the world. Israel is fighting for its nation and for the existence of the nation, and so are we in Sweden. So we have a lot in common, actually.
It really was a who's who of global leaders who have signaled their support to both the Jewish community and Israel as a nation itself, including the former Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, the former Chancellor of Austria, Sebastian Kurz. Both of Jair Bolsonaro's sons were in attendance, including one who has signaled his attempts to oust Lula as the leader of Brazil. And also here, one of the biggest allies of Israel in his time in politics, the former New York Mayor Eric Adams, who told me that his hard work in combating anti-Semitism isn't stopping anytime soon.
We're going to actually look at establishing a business to push back on anti-Americanism and anti-Semitism. There's a lot of great nonprofits, 501c3s and PACs that are doing that. We are now going to turn it into a business. And we also have a coin, New York City token. That token is going to use whatever proceeds that come about. A portion of them are going to go to deal with pushing back on the anti-Americanism and anti-Semitism. We have to meet it head on.
Now, I should note that with the crypto token he is talking about, there have been some accusations of rug pulling as it lost 90% of its value within the first couple of hours after its launch. But regardless of this, everybody here has come for the same goal, to combat anti-Semitism. And this is prevalent being the day before International Holocaust Memorial Day. On Holocaust Memorial Day itself, there is going to be another event featuring keynote speakers, but this gala and the events tomorrow is saying one thing: never again means never again.
And our first guest in studio is Karis Rea, who is an American political commentator and also a journalist, longtime television journalist in the process, as well of writing a book. And welcome to the studio, and thank you for coming to Israel to hang out with us.
Thank you, Emily. It's great to be here with you.
So a lot's happened since I saw you. We were on a trip, a very special trip for the March of the Living,
Yes.
almost quite some time ago already. And we were really talking about the rising wave of anti-Semitism on the right. And, tell us more. How has it morphed and evolved? Has it gotten worse? Or is it more of the same because of the Trump administration trying to keep things, smooth?
That's a great question. And despite the fact that we now have Trump in office, I would say that it's really gotten worse. And this is because it's more of a cultural trend. It's not so much administrative or political, part of the political or bureaucratic bureaucratic class, it's really happening from like the ground up, and it's circulating throughout online channels that then spill over into real life. And that's why people are very worried that come the next presidential election, is this going to rise to the level of state-sanctioned policy? That's the really big question, because as of now, we do have a very strong Israel supporter and supporter of Jews in the White House. And what comes next, that's anyone's guess.
Well, and I think, this conference was really addressed a lot of these issues. I mean, there are a lot of such conferences, but, as far as finding solutions, I mean, being there, speaking, getting together, are there active, novel kind of solutions to combat this?
Unfortunately, they're not coordinated enough. That's really the problem. We really do need creative, out-of-the-box solutions for this, right? Because we do not want to be, we're dealing with a whole different animal here. We do not want to be censoring people on social media. Conservatives had enough of that during COVID. They have a right to be anti-Semitic. They have a right to hate Jews. And I do not want to be teaming up with the ADL to try to suppress their hate speech, because in America, hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. So we really have to, like I said, think outside of the box and get creative here. We need to start forming relationships with our Christian allies, because Christian Zionism, as I've said many times, is the last bastion of philo-Semitism in America. And that's one of the reasons why they are being targeted so heavily by anti-Semites, but not only Jew haters, also America's enemies, Russia and China and Qatar, although they are, to some people, not an enemy. I'm sure in Israel, many of us agree that they are. So yeah, we need to tackle this on multiple fronts, and we have to start gatekeeping. I know that many conservatives are worried that that amounts to cancel culture, but I would argue that conservative principles are based in morality, based in biblical values. And if we don't draw the lines in terms of who we welcome into our movement, then there's no reason why we wouldn't end up just like the left. I mean, look at what happened with the progressives and the squad, I mean, it's just, there's no middle anymore to the Democratic Party. So also when you have influencers like Nick Fuentes and,
Candace Owens and people, like this, we know young people are impressionable and, they want to stand for something. I mean, yes, there's free speech, but also people are vulnerable to, being influenced by people like that. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that speaks to a much bigger problem of a world of screens that we are now enmeshed in from an early age, right? Because young people are no longer building their identities and finding ideas through reading books or even sitting down and watching Fox News. People are getting their ideas about society, about politics, about culture from memes, from X, from TikTok, from Snapchat, from AI. Exactly. And so, there's this what is it called? It's like the 6-second expert or something. They say that all these young people are now. Instead of the Monday morning quarterback, now it's a 6-second expert. Yeah, it's like everybody is an expert, for 6 seconds in whatever topic that they are forced to address, because that's all their brains can handle, really. I mean, it's not their fault in a sense. I mean, we are now raised in a culture that feeds us information at a speed and volume that we are not developed to actually properly absorb, right? So, I mean, when people are talking about AIPAC and when people are talking about the Talmud and World War II, all they can do is spit out talking points. There's no substance beneath that. Yeah. And so one of the ways that you fight that is you have to be able to condense responses into very palatable, reachable ideas. And that's very hard to do when we're dealing with complex issues like conflict in the Middle East. Well, thank you very much. And I know you're working on a book, so we'll have to talk to you again when you finish that. I know that's a lot of work, and I'm sure going to be a huge accomplishment when you finish. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. And thank you for coming into the studio. It's my pleasure. Starting this weekend, all eyes will be on Italy when the Winter Olympics kick off in Milan and the ski area of Cortina. And among the athletes is our next guest, an American Jew from Florida representing Israel in the adrenaline-fueled skeleton. Joining us now from Lillehammer, Norway, is Jared the Jewish Jet Firestone. Hello, Jared.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. It is so exciting. I mean, first of all, I'm an adrenaline junkie. So, look, the skeleton looks so much fun, but it is, not exactly, synchronized swimming. It's quite risk-taking. Why do you love that thrill so much?
Yeah, it's sort of what was addicting about it from the beginning. To kind of every day having to challenge yourself to be better. And when you're not better, you definitely pay the price physically. So nothing in my experience gave me that sort of feedback. And that's what got me addicted to the sport.
Your very first Olympic Games. I mean, how long has this been a goal and how hard have you been training over the years, not just now as you're, about to strap in?
And now's the easy part. But the last 10 years doing skeleton, and then 20 years overall, I started as a track athlete. And since then, my goal was to represent Israel in some capacity at the Olympics, and eventually during law school made that switch to skeleton. And here I am today.
It's really quite incredible. And to be able to represent Israel is quite exciting. Tell us why this is so much more meaningful than, representing the U.S. in this case. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but representing Israel and having the big Magen David and must be so emotional for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. And kind of one of my motivations for doing the sport was knowing that if I wasn't here doing it, nobody else would be. And it's so important from what I've seen over the years to have that representative at these events, at these venues, representing Israel, showing the Magen David right in the front for everyone to see how fast we're pushing, what good athletes we are, and what good people and ambassadors we are. So knowing it's such a small delegation and I'm one of just 9, carries so much more weight in a positive way for me.
Yeah, well, really incredible, especially in Winter Olympics. I mean, you're from Florida and Israel's a warm weather place. It's not like Lillehammer.
Yeah, it's minus 20 degrees outside. I think it was like at one point in the season, leaving Florida to Lake Placid, I had a 80-degree Fahrenheit switch in just 4 or 5 hours. So that's definitely part of the challenge too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And what kind of response have you gotten? Clearly, we don't know exactly how it's going to go, but are you getting pushback? Have you had any, bullies or anti-Semitic incidents?
So actually the athletes and coaches in the sport have been very, very supportive. And I was sliding most of the season in North America, Park City and Lake Placid. And I found that outside of the Americans, I might have been one of the more popular athletes, especially since October 7th, more so. So that was really, really great to see. But of course, when we're in Europe, always careful sitting with our backs against the wall when we go into public places, depending where we are.
Yeah. And I'm curious because, the television doesn't do it justice, even like with swimming, for example. How many miles an hour do you go when you're on the course?
It depends on the track, but the fastest I went this year was 84 miles an hour in Whistler. Yeah.
That sounds so fun. It's so fun.
You can try it sometime.
I will. I mean, I'm a skier. I've actually been to Cortina, and there's a lot of cliffs. It's not like a bunny slope by any stretch of the imagination. How do you prepare, for that particular terrain and the steepness?
Right. So all the tracks are different. I haven't been to the track in Cortina yet, but the best we could do is just watch what film is available about the track and learn which way the turns go and how it might feel, how those G-forces will feel and the speed, and then just do my best when I get there.
And what do you do in the off season? I mean, is this something you do for fun, or do you have another adrenaline fix when you're home, after doing law all day?
Right. So, yeah, I am a lawyer by trade. So in the summer, that's how I keep myself busy. I did have to pretty much drop the entire legal project to focus on the Olympics this year because it was my last chance and couldn't have any distractions. So in the summer, pretty much just training like a track athlete and fundraising most of the day and night owling as an attorney to help cover some of the costs of the fundraising.
Well, anyway, thank you. It's so great to meet you. We're going to be watching and cheering you on. Thank you so much. Jewry, the Jewish Jet. Thanks, Firestone. Man. Great name.
Thank you. See you soon.
Between the sands of the Negev and the vast expanses of Moshav Nevatim lies one of the central centers of Cochin Judaism, one of the oldest Jewish communities in the world, one that preserves thousands of years of traditions, songs, colorful clothing, and unique cuisine. Shai Israel of our sister I-24 News Hebrew channel set out to bring us a sample.
יהדות קוצ'ין זה אחד מקהילות הקטנות ביותר בין הקהילות שהיו בגולה. כל הקהילה מנתה בעת עלייתה לארץ 2,000 נפש בלבד. וזו קהילה מאוד עתיקה, שהסברות אומרות שהם הגיעו בתקופה של המלך שלמה. ולמעשה הקהילה הזאת שמרה לעצמה מאות או אלפי שנים בהודו, וב-1954 כל הקהילה עלתה לארץ, מרצון.
A special community lives near Moshav Nevatim in the Negev, one that connects worlds. You can hear it in the sounds and the singing that fill every corner of the house, and in meeting the culture that came all the way to Israel from the magical shores of South India.
זה שרשרת של דורות, מ-500 שנה, ושומרים עד היום, מקפידים על כל פרט. הדבר היחידי שלא אותנטי זה הנישואי תערובת שלנו.
מה זאת אומרת?
כי אתה לא תמצא היום נישואים של קוצ'ין עם קוצ'ין. אין דבר כזה.
למה?
כולה, חוטפים אותנו, מה לעשות?
Meir was born in the Cochin region of India. He did immigrate to Israel in his youth, but local Cochin pride is stronger than ever.
ספר לי קצת על המקום הזה.
א', זה גן עדן. ממש גן עדן, זה הכל מים, מים, מים. היו 5 כפרים של יהדות קוצ'ין.
Upon their immigration, the Cochin community found its home in several places across Israel. But it's in Nevatim that a unique Zionist story was written from the jungles of India to the dunes of the Negev.
ספרו לי קצת על הסיפור של נבטים ויהדות קוצ'ין.
אף אחד לא הסתדר פה. אף אחד. כולם ברחו מפה. וכולם הלכו לצפונה ובמרכז. ואנחנו, שבאנו מארץ שכולו מים, במזג האוויר קלאסה, למקום הכי חם בעולם, ושלחו אותם לעבודות שלא תאמין.
אז איך זה בסוף נהיה הבית?
של נבטים? כן. אנחנו אנשים עקשנים.
It was not written out of persecution, but written in letters etched in copper that granted the Jews a unique status.
הקהילה הזאת היא מאוד מאוד עתיקה, ואחד העדויות לעתיקות שלה היא ממצאים שנמצאו לפני 1,000 שנים. נכתבו על לוחות נחושת. מה נכתב בהם? המהראג' המקומי, שזה המלך המקומי, כתב זכויות ליהודים.
זה משהו די מיוחד וחריג שיש ליהודים זכויות לעומת מקומות אחרים בעולם.
נכון. אז מה שקרה בהודו, לא היה אנטישמיות, לא רדפו אחרי היהודים, להפך. זה המהראג'ה והסמל של הילדים.
ילדים פולנים.
פולנים בחלקם יהודים. בתקופת מלחמת העולם השנייה היו מלא פליטים בפולין שסבלו מרעב. מהראג'ה בהודו הסכים לארח 1,000 פליטים. אני מציע לכם לעבור במנהרת הזמן לקוצ'ין הקטנה, שחוזר אחד לאחד, בית כנסת שנוסד לפני 400 שנה, הועבר לנבטים. מה שאנחנו רואים פה למעשה, קודם כל, ההיכל שהובא מקוצ'ין. יש לנו את הטבע עם עמודי נחושת מיוחדים. רואים את התקרה הזאת, התקרה גם כן. זה פרחים של לוטוס שהיו נפוצים בקוצ'ין.
מה אנחנו שומעים פה ברקע?
אנחנו שומעים פה את מקהלת הנשים של מושב נבטים, ששרות שירים שעברו מהם לבת במשך מאות בשנים, וזה שירים שעוסקים במסורת, בגעגועים לציון.
אתם נמצאים כרגע בעזרת הנשים, ולפני שאני מתחילה לספר את הדברים הקיימים, בואו נלך לילדות של אותן נשים קוצ'ין. הן מגיל 4 הלכו יחד עם הילדים למלמד, שאצלנו קוראים לו מולייר, לחדר הרבנים ללמוד תורה.
שווה בשווה.
שווה בשווה. זה היה מובן מאליו שגם בנות וגם בנים בגילאי 4 צועדים לבית הכנסת.
אבל זה לא מובן מאליו
מבחינתנו, חמוד, מובן מאליו. ככה חונכנו, ככה גדלנו, וככה אנחנו מיישמים את זה עד היום. ולידיעתך, הן גם מתקנות.
בוודאי.
וגם עונות. אחד הדברים שהאחים שלי היו מתמוגגים שם למטה, כשהיו שומעים את קולה של אמי, עונה לחזן, ואומרת כל הפסוקים. זו גדלותה של אישה ביהדות קוצ'ין.
Among the various stops and traditions, the journey of the Cochin community continues to be written these days, as it turns from distant history into a living encounter of scents and colors, and now it seeks to open the door.
And that is all for this week's episode of Jewish World Weekly. We sure hope you enjoyed it. And of course, you can head over to our I-24 News app, YouTube channel, website, social media to catch up on this episode as well as previous episodes and specific stories and interviews of interest. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Emily Francis. Shalom from Tel Aviv.